The following is a guest video created by Adam Tranter.
I'm Adam Tranter and I'm the Bicycle Mayor for Coventry. Now, I was born and raised in the city. I've been cycling all my life. But it's not about me, it's about wanting to get everybody who can to cycle for short journeys so that we can do something to tackle our air quality in the city, also tackle the chronic congestion, and also just be a bit healthier. I've enjoyed cycling when I was growing up, and I don't think that's the same thing that my kids can be afforded the pleasure of. It's just not safe to cycle anymore. So I want to see the city change. I want to see the city more hospitable to people on bikes, taking short journeys so we can take more cars off the road. Now, I'm not anti-car, but I do believe we need to give people options if they're going to leave their cars at home. 24% of all journeys are under a mile and 68% of all journeys are under 5 miles. These journeys are easily cyclable if we give people the option to do so. But we've built a city around cars, making it very, very difficult if we want people to get out of them. On the face of it, it's an uphill struggle. But if you look into Coventry's history and you look at where we've come from as a city, actually, it's not that far-fetched for Coventry to become a cycling city once again. Throughout history, Coventry has always been known as a centre of industry. In the medieval times, it was known as one of the largest urban areas in the country, thanks to its woolen trade. Come the 19th century, Coventry became renowned for ribbon weaving, watchmaking, and eventually bicycle manufacture. Now, the bicycle remains the most efficient mode of transporting humans ever invented, and most of that development happened right here in Coventry. But if you have a look around at the car-dominated streets and the way the city is designed, you'd be hard-pressed to realise the significance that this city had to play in the story of the bicycle and how it changed and will continue to change the world. This is James Starley. In 1863, he and Josiah Turner set up the Coventry Sewing Machine Company. In 1867, Starley was given a velocipede, a newfangled machine out of Paris. It wasn't long before Starley thought that he could improve on that and eventually invented the penny farthing. Coventry then became the centre of the cycling industry, and Starley was always known as the father of that industry. Now, all of Starley's sons were involved in the cycle trade, but it was his nephew, John Kemp Starley, who made the most impact. He invented the Rover safety bicycle in the mid-1880s, and that became the blueprint for the bicycles we ride now, with a diamond frame and 2 equal-sized wheels. Most people that ride bikes will ride a bike that's based pretty much on that safety bicycle. I'm going to go and check out now where it was made. In the 1880s, bicycles were at the cutting edge of technology, and bicycle manufacturers used that know-how to eventually make motor cars. You can trace the heritage of the Rover safety bicycle, which was created by John Kemp Starley on the site of the Meteor Works, which is behind me here. Soon was forgotten that it was Britain's bicycle manufacturers who used their capital, their labour and their expertise to create the car industry, and Coventry went from being the cycle city to the motor city.
This was Coventry as it looked next morning to those who survived that terrible night in the early war days.
Coventry was absolutely devastated by the night of the Blitz. Many of the buildings were flattened, hundreds of people lost their lives, and this is pretty much all the remains of Coventry's medieval past. And actually, it's a bit of a con, really, because some of the buildings have moved here painstakingly, timber bit by timber bit and brick by brick, to rebuild them on this street, so you have a memory of Coventry. But also this street, Spon Street, is an indication of what Coventry is now. And before the war, in fact, Donald Gibson, the first city architect for Coventry, had decided that he wanted all this stuff gone anyway. He wanted ring roads and he wanted parking and pedestrianised areas that you'd have to drive to get to. And this street was sliced in the middle and became a street of 2 halves. On one side you've got the medieval beauty of Coventry of past, and then the brutalist design of the ring road, a 6-lane speedway through the city centre, and pedestrians and cyclists relegated to grotty underpasses. When you look at it this way, it's really no surprise that not many people cycle in Coventry when this is what we give them to do it on.
It became a working person's transport really only late 1920s. So this trope of cycling being for poor people only dates from 1927 onwards. But then it became massive. You know, cycling just went huge and went mainstream, and we are talking the most mainstream form of transport in the UK by far. You know, bigger than any other mode of transport, and it shocked people at the Ministry of Transport. You know, you can see the mandarins writing to the ministers, going, "It's awful. Cycling's increasing. What are we going to do about this? You know, we've got to get these people off the streets." And that was absolutely because they wanted a motor future, and all of these insects on their bicycles, which a lot of planners were talking about at that time, absolutely had to be got rid of. So the bicycle pioneers in Coventry that set the world, you know, alight. An awful lot of them, the capital, the technology, definitely the people transferred directly from the bicycle world into the nascent automobile world, and basically bicyclists created the world of the motor car in effect. And when they did that, I don't think they thought they were going to be creating, in fact they definitely didn't know they were going to be creating the monster that obviously motoring became.
I, like a lot of other people, actually think that the bicycle, our original invention, and walking, which most of us already do, can be the solution for our cities, like Coventry, going forward. And we've got to look at how our city serves us and what we use it for and our relationship with it. And to do that, we look at other cities, take Amsterdam, or actually most cities in the Netherlands. And they had the same choice as us in the 60s and 70s. Many people think that the Netherlands has always been this cycling utopia, and that just isn't true. In the 60s and 70s, Amsterdam pretty much looked like Coventry does today. They had a choice whether to prioritise people or prioritise cars. Amsterdam chose people, we chose cars. Well, this is it. This is the bicycle that changed the world, made here in Coventry by a man who lived on Gloucester Street there, which is it's just, well, it feels pretty surreal to be here. And like, it's such an amazing machine. If I rode that, which I'm hoping to shortly, down the street, I don't think anyone would, you know, yes, it looks old, but it looks so modern in its design and the way that it's created. And you know, it is the bicycle we know today. But this was made in 1887. The first safety bicycle from John Kemp started was in 1885. This was a couple of iterations from him later. And I just wanted to be here to sort of understand what it would be like to live on this street as he did, and kind of cycle that way, which he would have done into work. The world owes so much to this machine, this bicycle. This was really the start of social mobility as we know it. It allowed people to get from the next village along to work and to meet new people. And today the bicycle is still a symbol of social mobility and social improvement. And I just wish we could see more of that in the city. And maybe we are. Maybe this is the turning point that we needed. Wow, well, it would be madness to be here and not to take it for a spin. So I'm going to do just that. I'll be careful. Well, here we go. Wow, what a thing. What an experience. It's just totally amazing to ride something of this age. It's had such an impact on the world. I think we should remember just how amazing this machine is and how much of an impact it's had on the world. And there's a sad irony in this, because the safety bicycle is pretty much what the Dutch ride. As a lot of people know, in Amsterdam there are more bicycles than there are humans, and many of them are designed in the safety bike design. The Dutch actually took the safety bike design and adapted a little, kept that upright position, and it's now called the Dutch bike. But the sadness and the irony is the Dutch bike is a bike made here in Coventry, and while they're riding them to a great extent, 75% of school journeys are taken by bike in the Netherlands. In Utrecht, 51% of all journeys are by bike at times. And in Coventry, we have less than 1% of trips by bike to school, for example. So they've taken our design and they're putting it to good use. And we've sort of just forgotten about it. There are reasons to be cheerful and there are reasons to be hopeful, which I'm going to explore shortly. But I really want to look at what Coventry could be if we took a leaf out of the book of the Netherlands. To find out more, I spoke to Aura Shanowy, TV broadcaster and journalist who in late 2018 moved to the Dutch capital.
When I moved here, you cannot help but be struck and shocked, really, by how many bicycles there are, by how many people there are riding their bikes, and just how, I was going to say normal it is, but to begin with, it doesn't feel normal. When you come from the UK, it feels weird, and it feels like everybody is just a little bit strange. How are these people riding their bikes all the time? Why are they riding their bikes all the time? In the Netherlands, it rains pretty much all the time. We've got horrific winds all the time, and you just think, this isn't very pleasant, it's not very agreeable. Until you get on a bike and realise just how easy it makes life. And I mean life, not just getting around, not just getting to the shops, getting to work, getting to school, getting to after school clubs, but just living. Everything becomes so much more simple and stress-free and accessible. For us now, we don't have any cars, we don't get about on four wheels ever, because it's just so much easier by bicycle. It just makes sense here. It makes sense everywhere, but it's easier, I guess, here.
And what difference would you say is made by high quality cycle lanes?
Protected bike lanes make a huge difference, and not so much for the people that you might think. It's not about necessarily the weekend cyclists who dare already to dress head to toe in lycra and jump on their road bikes. It's for everyone else. The more vulnerable people who would like to get around by bicycle. So older people, kids in particular, families out riding their bikes who might feel intimidated, understandably, by traffic and the proximity of traffic. For them, bike lanes are absolutely crucial. And to be able to encourage children to ride their bikes in safety can only be a good thing. Bringing exercise into their lives, bringing them into the great outdoors, and helping to support their mental wellness, as we know that exercise does, is just a wonderful thing for society, and it's a great, great sign of where society can go in the future.
The coronavirus pandemic in 2020 taught us a lot of things. It showed us that there were other ways to get around for recreation, but also for key workers to get to work, which is why we saw the biggest increases in cycling that we'd seen in a long time here in Coventry, but cities all around the world. Now, if you go to the Netherlands, you'll see that they have protected, safe cycling infrastructure everywhere. And you get anybody from 6-year-olds riding it alone to school, to older people who would normally be reliant on motor vehicles to get about. And it's really, really pleasing to see. And in the UK, in Coventry, we need exactly the same. We need safe, separated, protected bike infrastructure in this city to get a chance of people to stop using their cars for short journeys. And it's important too. We're here on Barker Butts Road, which is a key corridor into the city. Adjacent to us is the Holyhead Road. And in the Holyhead Road, the air pollution monitors are telling citizens that this is the most polluted road in the city. It's not a safe road to walk along. It's not a safe road to cycle along. So we need safe, protected bike infrastructure. And I'm really pleased to say, after all the doom and gloom of Coventry not being a city for cycling, that we are potentially at the start of something here. We're going to have a safe two-way separated bike lane here, which will serve many schools straight into the city centre, helping kids get to school, helping kids get into city centre, and helping anybody who wants to ride a bike to be able to ride a bike safely. Now, it's just one. It's hopefully one of many that are coming. But if we want to see a cycling revolution in Coventry, this is the kind of development that we need. to get people to use their bikes and not their cars. It's clear then that Coventry is not quite a cycling city. It could be if it wanted to, and it could take inspiration from Paris, who have transformed their city in under a year by installing temporary bike lanes and pedestrian-friendly measures. A lot of people in this city believe that electric cars are the answer, but if we look at our past, it's clear that our city should be for people, not for machines. It is possible to have a cycling-friendly city. It will take political courage, leadership, and a lot of funding, but I strongly believe it's what's right for Coventry.